Okay, so I'm gonna do an update about my Landroid, Worx Landroid garden robot. Okay, so today right here I had a wire that was, the robot got stuck, the front wheel got stuck in a little hole, and the back wheel started spinning and dug, and it just basically cut through the wire. It was the wheel that did it because it was right under the wheel, and I had a wire fault, and took it out, fixed the wire, evened the earth out again. This is my first season after a winter, and I live out in the farmlands in Germany, but there's like a lot of little field mice that, since I've had the Landroid, they haven't been as bad, but sometimes, like over the winter, like over here on the, I call it a graben, but it's a ditch, irrigation ditch. Used to be more for irrigation. They're all over the place here. They used to be for irrigation, and also before tractors were done as much, they take boats through and collect the grain and stuff and fruit. Anyway, so over here I've got some pretty massive colonies of rodents. The cat mostly keeps them under control, but this whole little area here has been sliding into the ditch because over the winter these creatures live in the earth here, and they eat the old seeds from the cherry trees that fall down and whatever else. So I've already had a lot of issues with my riding mower. I always would slide off here. So the Landroid, when the ground is wet from rain or whatever, it slips around more and gets stuck. And anyway, my yard is also, I have to make it go around in the driveway so no one runs over the Landroid. It's over there working right now. So I don't have a normal shaped yard. It's like two big sections. It's mostly like three sections. Two small in the back and too big in the front. Technically it's three small in the back. But it ends up, doesn't matter how I do the percentage of the garden that it's supposed to cut, it ends up not doing enough of one because it's not really, it's made for more geometric shapes, not organic shapes. But anyway, so after the winter and the rodents done their business tearing up my garden, there's little tunnels like under the grass. The robot gets stuck in it a lot. I was able to do one area here, and this section is mostly square. And I have cables on my driveway because my grass it doesn't connect because of the driveway. And somebody one of the workers replaced one of our windows, and they broke my cable. And it took forever to find the problem. But I found it. But until then, I put the robot in this section here for like a couple weeks until I fixed the cable, found the problem. And it was fine during this one section. The neighbors over here have an older robot, and they have a tiny little garden, and it's great. But I had to leave town for like 3 days twice this month. Wants to meet my brother at the airport and wants to take care of some business in southern Germany. And in 3 days, since it started raining a lot here, the grass was already too long for the robot to deal with. And I tried to get it cut before I left, but the neighbors got upset about me cutting my grass during their Sunday nap time, which, I don't know, that's another issue in and of itself. So anyway, this year I have had to cut the grass more than this thing has cut, and it wasn't able to deal with everything when I was gone because the grass just grew too much, even though I cut it down before I left. The little holes like this, especially when it's wet, it gets stuck. And now it keeps getting the fault where it says it's outside of the wire. So this year, this thing has been a real pain in the butt. My powered is not your average. It says auto power. Wait, stopped. What is the problem? Low battery, it needs to go back to the base. One thing when it's low power, can't do too many maneuvers to stay on the cable to go back to base. So this thing, I mean, it'd be quicker if I just cut my grass myself this year, because this thing just can't handle the garden yet. I mean, I was able to get one section smoothed out so it could work without any interference. You know, it could just work and I didn't have to deal with it. But now, my garden is just the winter and then the animals, and then summer came, or spring, and rains, and I had to let it run during the rain because the grass grows too quick. And like I said, I was gone 3 days and I came back and the robot can't deal with it anymore. So mostly just helps a little bit. It doesn't really do the job it's really designed, because my yard is, I mean, last year eventually it got it, but I still had to pick it up and put it from one side to the other because the organic shape of the cable, just the robot doesn't really understand where it's supposed to start and stop, and it ends up doing half and half instead of this section for 20% of the time, and this section for 20% of the time, and that section for 10 and 15 or whatever. Anyway, so this year, this thing has been a pain in the butt. Hopefully I can get everything under control and I'll do another update and say I'm happy with this thing, but right now I'm not, and I really wish my riding mower wasn't broken.